Welcome to The Disruption Is Now. Join us on this enlightening journey as we explore how AI is impacting our jobs, careers, lives, and the human experience. Each episode, host Greg Matusky will converse with visionaries and innovators at the forefront of AI, diving into its challenges, opportunities, and impact. So buckle up as we venture into the heart of disruption, and together, let's unfold the future.
Well, this is a feature here. We're ending the second day at HumanX as we're the premier podcast studio here, and we've got some great guests. They've come all the way from Denmark.
From Denmark, yeah.
Rasmus Holst is the CEO of Zensai, and that's a very interesting company because they're really in the employee engagement and learning space and doing it in a completely different way. And joining him is Randy Cruz. He's in the learning division of Penske, the large automotive and transportation company out of close to where my heart lies, out of Reading. We're right outside of Philadelphia. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
I'm so happy you will have us.
So I really want to start from the beginning. Here we are at HumanX. It's all about AI.
Yeah.
So I get these notes about Zensai and how you're doing it completely different to help enterprises increase the quality of their workforce. So if you would, Rasmus, give me some insight into that.
At least we start with the humans, and we don't really understand why we call it human resources. So we want to change that narrative to human success to start with, because we don't understand why, if I have you as a customer, we will apply customer success to make you successful with our platform. Yet, if you come and join our company, we just tell you you're a resource. So essentially, we've tried to put together a platform where organizations are able to understand how's the fitness of their organization, how are they doing, because we all say people are important. Yet in the boardroom, it's the thing that always comes last. Chief Human Resource Officers are always promised a seat at the table. Never really happens. So that's what we're trying to transform with the software that we provide.
And let's talk about that a little bit more, because learning is such an important skill right now as the AI revolution speeds by. Yeah. I know myself, it's so difficult to stay current and to be able to use these tools in an effective way.
Yeah.
So let's go through it, right? And then we'll turn to Randy. But let's go through it as far as what's deployment look like, what does it measure, how does it engage with employees? I want to know everything.
Okay, so let's start with that. The first way we've thought differently about it to most learning and engagement and performance platforms is we've come at it from almost a Strava for work type of thinking. Because what most organizations, most CEOs, myself included, wants to understand.
And you're a runner, so you know what Strava is, but let's just make sure everyone knows what it is.
It's a platform for athletes to tell how fit you are and all of those kind of things. And generally, it measures like your training, but that could equate to learning. It then measures how frequent you are, but that's your engagement. So do you really show up, and do you really do your training? And the real benefit of that is not that you're able to tell how fit you are, but you're actually able to tell how quick can you run a 5 mile or a 10 mile or something, and you'll be within 10%. Now ask every CEO, what do you want to understand from your workforce? You want to say, how fast can they produce something? How fast can they be able to implement something? How fast will they be able to sell something? Yet, most boardrooms discuss attrition, so all the people who left you, as the key number for HR, and we want to change that, because only then does people get a higher level of hierarchy in we need our earnings to be right, then our shareholders, then our product, and then last comes people. So 70% of our costs are people, so you want that to be absolutely effective.
So where does AI play a role in that?
It plays a role in many things, because first and foremost, your skills. What do you want to learn? What career path do you want to be on as an employee? You want to actually put AI underneath that to help you suggest where you're going. If you then go to engagement, we have a little system that checks in every week and stuff like that. But you want to coach the managers to be able to talk to you if you're having a difficult time completing tasks and all of that, giving them recommendations from the AI perspective. Then there's the dreaded performance review. Actually, they will assemble all of that in one go, both for the manager and for the person doing the performance review. So all of that works. And then maybe more importantly, all the learning. You want to be learning things that are current. So actually creating small micro-learning courses or courses from like your travel policy that you can consume super easily, but not sit and do it as a huge design. Use AI to build that, serve it up for you when you need it. And when you start to put these things together, it becomes a much more agile experience, both for the employee and for the leader.
Well, that's interesting. In my own firm, we have about 125 people, and it's been a real challenge in trying to get change yep. management with regard to AI.
Sure.
Because we started our course some 4 years ago when we saw this as an existential threat to what we do. We're a PR agency.
Yep.
And with content and workflow, AI is just an incredible, I say more than a tool. It's a way to re-look yep. at how we work. And that's difficult. You can give people all the training you want. You can give them all the tools that you can. But if they don't engage and they don't find value in going through the process, you fail. So, and I know Randy from Penske, you're a client of Zensai. First of all, I want to know, here you are in Denmark, here you are outside of Reading, Pennsylvania. How did you guys connect?
Oh, well, that's an interesting story.
And you're allowed to say it in a family-oriented podcast, right? It's so family-oriented. There's a dog in the background barking. I don't know if you hear that, but here on the show floor, they're bringing in, I guess this is rescue dogs, or this is
a petting area.
A petting area. So it's very cool, but you will hear the barks. So Randy, go ahead.
Sure. So it happened at the moment around COVID, and my team had to move and adjust from mostly in-person trainings to virtual because of the pandemic. And so we were in search of a platform and a solution that would be able to help us deliver our rigorous programs, but in a virtual space. And we went through the search high and low for the right and the perfect platform. And we found Zensai and fell in love with it immediately. It was something that aligned with our strategy. We wanted to create an environment, an ecosystem, to meet our learners where they were. And we heavily used Microsoft Teams, especially in the pandemic, to mostly connect virtually and communicate through chat. But we wanted to stretch that into more of a learning ecosystem where you can also connect with people for performance support, connect with learning content in the flow of work, and continue that process. And Zensai's platform fit beautifully into that
you're
equation.
Really a textbook example then of chaos causing change.
Absolutely.
Right? And there's never been more chaos than there is right now.
Yeah.
Tell me about pre and tell me about post. And tell me how you did it in the past and assured that the people were getting the type of learning and training they needed and absorbing it. And then today you're monitoring that and achievement.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's been a journey. And so most of our programs were done in person, on site, and things like that. When that was taken away, we had to turn to other solutions. So making sure that we had to upskill our workforce, unlearn certain things. Right now, we have to produce these programs virtually in person, but that has an instructional design change. You're not in the classroom anymore. So how does your instruction change? How does your cadence change so people don't feel like they're just in another Zoom meeting all day long? We had to switch it from a hybrid approach where some learning content was done maybe hour, 2 hours online, but then also asynchronous work to supplement. You can't have your learners be 8 hours on a Zoom call trying to run a program.
Yeah, my limit's 45 minutes.
Exactly. You can't do it. So you think about how facilitators had to redesign their entire thought process around delivering these programs because now it's in a virtual space. And the platform really did help us with that. And so we've changed a lot of our programs to that hybrid approach. It was more effective. It was more cost effective because now you didn't have to go in person anymore. And we got a lot of positive feedback from our learners as this was a preferable method of learning. So in some cases, sometimes you want to be in person over, in certain instances, but overall, it was a positive, especially through that pandemic time.
So tell me today about the data and what you're seeing. What are the numbers you're looking at, right? And how do you show that to your C-suite to really get them to focus on their people in ways more than what Rasmus was talking about with attrition rates?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can speak to straight attrition rates, but we can.
No, I mean, before Rasmus was saying that at the board level, the only discussion of human resources was retention, attrition, positions, key positions to fill.
Right.
But this gives you a deeper look into what the program as a whole is achieving, if I understand correctly.
Right. So at its basic level, we're getting positive feedback from our learners. High engagement scores in terms of approval with, escaping the words, our feedback from our learning programs. High rates in those areas, which helps us to kind of readjust and continue down that path to deliver the same learning programs to achieve the same outcomes. So at its basic foundation, we're getting positive Net Promoter Scores.
And how many employees are now in the program?
Well, across we have, 49,000, including truck drivers and things like that, but more in an HR space, 14, 15,000 in certain cases.
And what levels are they at? All the way through, what's the spectrum of job title or role?
Well, okay, so truck drivers, of course, logistics, HR personnel, compliance, things like that. Anywhere from individual contributors through leadership development across all the way up to VP level, things like that.
You know what I love about this, Rasmus, is that all day long I've been talking to AI companies and we're talking about data.
Yeah.
We're talking about structured data, unstructured data. We're talking about aggregated data. This is the first time I've been with a company that's talking about human beings.
I love that. And I think human beings need to be in this change of AI, right? Because if we're all focused on what do we get out of AI, we're going to have AI speaking to AI and we're never going to get anywhere. So humans are going to be an important part of where we move forward. We're going to be an important part of how we set the strategy, how we communicate. Some tasks might be executed by AI, some might be executed by humans. But in the future, we as humans still make up a great part of how we build our future businesses.
Now tell me about Strava for Work, your love of running and your mention of the other app. Tell me about what that does and how it creates a score for the employee.
Good. So essentially what it does, it looks at the learning patterns for the business. And are you actually completing the training? Are you actually moving forward? Because very often organizations will measure like, where are we with compliance training? Are we doing good on cybersecurity, all those things? But it's also about, as you talked about initially, how you're building additional skills into the organization to transform right now from where we are to AI. Second part is actually the engagement. So a simple thing is everyone checks in 5 minutes every week, just with a few sentiment scores and all that, instead of doing it once a year. If you think about that in an athlete term, if I told you I was in great shape in October of last year, you would have gone, yeah, Rasmus, you're kidding me because you've eaten too much over Christmas and all.
You've been in Vegas too many times.
You've been in Vegas, you had Christmas, all that. Yet that's how we do as businesses. So we think, okay, if the engagements were great back when we did the engagement score back in October, what are we going to do? But also what we want to be measuring is the other way around. Very typically we measure like engagement from employees and push it up. But we all talk about what is leadership and pushing down, right? Do they actually react to the check-ins? Do they actually coach their people? Do they actually show them a path of where you're going on your skills path, where you're going on your leadership path, all of those types of things? And all of a sudden, instead of just measuring how does the individual contributor feel, you're measuring that, and you're actually also measuring how the leadership is actually engaging with that. Last thing is you have your scores for goals. You can set up OKRs, you can set up goals in the platform, and then as you go through the year, you'll obviously see how that actually pushes forward. So now when you start to push all of that together, you'll actually start to see, is the organization learning? Are the people who are learning and leading the company, are they actually engaged in what they do? And lastly, are they hitting the goals? And here's the interesting thing, because you have the best employee in the best organization if all these things are true. But what if an individual is like very engaged and learning a lot, but not performing? Is that the person's problem, or is that a leadership problem of articulating what you need to achieve? Or somebody's performing really well, they're learning really well, but they're unengaged? You can be absolutely certain they're going to leave your organization. So now you start to get more sentiment analysis around what is your actual fitness of. And then I think at the end of this, it comes down to how clearly are you able to communicate. You've never met me before. I've traveled from Denmark. Obviously, I'm slightly jet lagged. My sleep score on a 100 scale was 42 and 47 the last 2 days. How am I feeling?
Pretty bad.
I'm tired. Good. I never gave you any context. I just gave you that. So now if I tell you, you and I, we've produced this amazing organization. We have a human success score of 92. How are we doing? We're doing great. Now let me come next month and I go, oh, our human success score is down to 72. How would you react as a CEO? First question you would ask is, what went wrong? And that's what we want to develop for the HR teams. And that's why we launched this like on Monday, that uniquely, the HR team can't lose anything. They can't win anything at the board level. If you ask this chief revenue officer, if they're above budget, hey, board meeting's great. If the CFO is running out of cash, what are we doing? And we want that same effect with the teams, because we think that's how you actually get the reaction from the board, the reaction from your peers at the C-level suite.
So give me some idea now, your footprint around the globe. Is it mostly European? Is it North American?
It's 2,500 organizations who use the platform as a paid, 4,000 who use it as free. It's 50% North America, 35% Europe, and 15% Asia.
That's great. And tell me a little bit about the ideal customer that you're looking for. What is the prototypical customer look like?
Prototypical customer is between 250 to 2,500 users. Penske obviously being a lot bigger, so we can serve the much bigger organization. But typically a large-scale SMB will be a very, very good fit for us, given the size and given when they're implementing things and how quickly they can actually implement things. And then typically in traditional industries, so there's a lot of tech here that are on Slack and all kinds of things, and we're actually serving more transportation, manufacturing, financial services, healthcare, all of those. And that will be a typically very, very great customer for us.
So give me some idea of what the future holds for you and where you think your next opportunities will come.
I literally think we can create a different category to what we think about today. I think there is a category where you put these three things together. Those are two different categories today. And I do think that as we change with AI, this is going to be where we see ourselves play a role. And I think human success will be a counterbalance to how we think about human resource today. And if we're able to succeed in making companies think about human resources differently, I would be the happiest man on earth.
Now, you have a tremendous amount of experience. You worked at LinkedIn and Box and Salesforce. Oh,
that's Robin, but never mind.
I'm sorry.
I'm still over 50, so I've done some stuff in my life.
I apologize.
Go ahead.
We had a late switch, and I'm glad we got you here in the seat. But your background is in what?
It's in telecoms, it's in cloud services, it's in cybersecurity over 25 years.
So I'm going to ask you a question I ask everyone then. What has surprised you most about AI?
That's a good question. What has surprised me most? What has surprised me most is how much of the efforts we do as executives, we do a trial and error and go like, that was a great result, now we can use it. And then the next result that comes out, it's like, oh, that wasn't really great. I'm not sure we're going to use that at all. So I think we have this lots of starts and stops. When we're here, we will all say, this is moving along a highway. But I think out in the organizations, a lot of it is still like, you have executives who are trying to make decisions on, is this really our future? And then you get a bad result out of an AI query or an AI attempt to run sales on AI, and you go, am I sure? I think as chief executives, we have some big decisions to make, because we work obviously with the imperfections in me as a human being, but you can see, we can have a conversation about it. Yet when we think about this AI and we're asking that to take decisions or make decisions or research or anything on behalf of us, we're still going, this works, oh, it doesn't work. It works, oh, it doesn't work. But it's the same with human beings. We just offset that by understanding where I am, where you are, and those kind of things today. And that, I think, is the biggest surprise. We're pushing the narrative so hard, and every day
there's the resistance because it's of its inconsistencies.
I think so. And I don't think a lot of, if you went around and asked many of the CEOs, how many of you have put it on your budget for 2025? Not to spend money on AI, but that you balance out like headcount and the investment in AI, and are you going to get better? Have you invested in AI? Are you going to get absolute better results in marketing? Have I built that into my 2025 plan? No. I've built my 25 plan exactly like I did the 24 one. But we're starting to look at what is then happening in 26, and I think that for many CEOs is are we really crisp on what we want to get out of this as an outcome? Because we have a lot of infrastructure, we have a lot of data assembly, the actual outcomes and the use cases where we actually either make money, we create more customers, better outcome. I think we're still a little bit timid to make a lot of those decisions as CEOs.
Yeah, that's a good insight. I want to thank you for being here. This is the first time I've ever done a case study, and I think it works well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was really great to hear from Penske, and I am going to say one thing so you can play this podcast. My former employee, Kim Harmson, who Penske stole from me, will probably be listening in, so I want to get that in there right now. We miss her greatly. And
great commentary.
I had nothing to do with it.
But he does work in talent acquisition. Now we've set it up completely.
There you go. Rasmus, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Great company, really interesting story. Really proud of what you guys are doing on the human resource and the human side of business, because a lot of this is done in a vacuum away from that, where we're just talking about MIPS and BIPs and we're not really talking about the human element. So congratulations, and thanks for being on The Disruption Is Now.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Greg.
This podcast is a production of Gregory FCA. If you enjoyed our discussion today and want to continue exploring the transformative power of AI, please check out more episodes and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.